Okay, morning guys. So we spoke yesterday about listening to the body, getting feedback. And often when we say that, it's like noticing stuff in situ. When you get immediate feedback from the body that, oh, I'm bloated now, or oh, I'm tired now. And I may have mentioned the importance of potentially keeping a logbook of these, especially at the beginning. So you really get to notice trends. You know, as the saying goes, if you're not assessing, then you're guessing. So like to notice trends. You suddenly may find like, oh, in the moment you notice you're bloated after a sandwich or some bread, and then later, a couple of days later, you notice after a bowl of pasta the same kind of bloat. So by having your logbook and noticing those things on reflection, you can potentially come to a conclusion, if it happens regularly, that it might be gluten. And you may see the same things with dairy or caffeine or chili, etc. So that's quite useful. Keeping a logbook, especially when you're interested in weight loss and what the weight's doing and the quantity amounts on the body. You know, whether that's by pictures, so you can refer back after the week and go, right, I need to try and scale this down somewhere. How do I do that? Or whether that's using calories and being quite consistent and accurate with that for a set period of time. Again, we talk about more of this in the academy, but it's worth maybe just to mention it here because I will talk about quantity in a couple of videos. Weighing yourself in, like if we're staying in this quick little bubble of weight loss, the more data points you can get with all of this in the initial stages, the better. I know a lot of people just, psychologically weighing in, does a bit of damage. But if you think about it, the weight's always doing this. And there's outliers whenever you weigh in a set period of time. There's a super low one, which is random and not truly accurate. And there's also a super high one. So if you're doing good in a plan or protocol and you're weighing in sporadically, you don't know whether when you just weigh in the second time, whether that could have just randomly hit an outlier. You suddenly think you're doing amazingly well and look how much weight I've lost. And then you're really disappointed when you weigh in the next time because it evens out. Or conversely, you think you're doing really well and then you weigh in and it's an outlier which is too high and you think, well, what's the point in all of this? It's not working, I'll give up. So getting more data points and taking a rolling average gives you a much better representation of what's going on in the body. But again, I will, in later or in the academy and stuff, I walk you through doing that if weight loss is an important factor in your eating and nutrition program. What else is worth noticing? And ladies, your period and menstrual cycle. So some of you that I meet really don't track it or know it. So it's good to know when you're in your luteal and when the cravings are coming, just because you can second guess it and you can allow for certain things and just, I don't know why I'm so hungry and, And also give yourself a bit of respite. There'll be certain times in that where let's just not completely have an uphill battle against it. Have certain days within that where you can flex a little bit just because, hormones are going wayward. Notice when you've got excess bloat on, just, when you're due and stuff, rather than thinking, oh, I don't know why all this weight's suddenly coming on. So it's good to map it and try and forecast these things. It was early on in my career, I noticed because I had a lot of clients who fly a lot, whether that's internal or just, Spain and to Europe as well as further afield. But I'd always notice, because we were always getting the data and they would always send me the data back, we could clearly see that it doesn't matter whether it was a local small flight or a long haul, that for 2 days after the flight, the body's obviously put in a lot of stress, unbeknownst to you, whether you're having a whale of a time in business class and think the flight was great, your body was under stress flying at speed at that high altitude. So it holds on to a lot more sort of water retention, I think. So after you come back of a flight, the scale's not going to be a true representation of your weight. It's going to be very elevated for a couple of days. So noticing that, we don't have to panic and do anything too strict straight away. Oh, I've had a really bad trip and therefore I'm now going to fast for 9 days. We don't need to do any of that. But just noticing and watching trends. I noticed for me, I like chili. I like a bit of spicy food, nothing too crazy. But the next day, the scale can be up anywhere between 0.7 and about 1.8 kg. Now I know overnight, and plus I haven't been massively gluttonous, I just know that my body eating for dinner something spicy doesn't digest it that quickly. Therefore, it's just a bit of excess bloat and weight still within the system. 2 days later, boom, that whole weight comes crashing back down. So noticing these trends and how the body relates to certain foods or quantities or times of eating, etc., is super useful. So yeah, the name of this video is about having a logging system for yourself. And sometimes it's writing down, sometimes it's pictures, sometimes it's actually using an app and calorie counting, etc.